The calabash glowed and tempted her, calling out to her. Zoe gave in and made a wish in the quiet of the night. The rivers that had gone dry started flowing again, but what happened next shocked everyone. Zoe was 18, a young woman who had grown up in the village of Nzuri. She was known for her strong will and sharp mind, often helping her grandmother, Nana Oi, with tasks around their small hut. Zoe's parents had passed away when she was young, leaving her under the care of her grandmother, who was the village healer and wise woman. One day, while cleaning out an old storage space in their hut, Zoe found something unusual. Beneath a pile of dusty cloths and forgotten trinkets was a calabash, its surface worn smooth by time. The calabash was intricately carved with swirling patterns, each curve telling a story of its own. Curious, Zoe picked it up, feeling a strange energy emanating from it. She brought the calabash to her grandmother, who gasped when she saw it.
Zoe, where did you find this?
In the storage room. Why? What is it?
Nana Oi's face grew serious.
This calabash has a powerful history. It is said to grant wishes, but each wish comes with a heavy price. The last time it was used, it brought great suffering to our village. It was hidden away to protect us from its curse.
Zoe felt a shiver run down her spine. She had always been drawn to stories of magic and power, but now, holding the calabash in her hands, she felt a deep sense of responsibility.
What should we do with it?
We must return it to its resting place. But be careful, Zoe. The calabash's power is seductive, and it can twist even the purest of intentions.
Despite her grandmother's warning, Zoe couldn't shake the feeling that the calabash had come into her life for a reason. She knew the village was struggling, the river that once provided water had dried up, and the fields were barren. People were beginning to lose hope. That night, unable to sleep, Zoe sat by the calabash, her mind racing with possibilities. She could wish for the river to flow again, for the fields to be fertile, for the village to prosper. But as she held the calabash in her hands, she remembered her grandmother's words, "Each wish comes with a heavy price." Zoe hesitated, torn between her desire to help her people and the fear of what the calabash might demand in return. Finally, she whispered her wish into the night, her heart heavy with both hope and dread. The next morning, the village awoke to find the river flowing once more, its water sparkling in the early light. The fields, too, had begun to sprout green shoots, a sign that the land was coming back to life. The villagers were overjoyed, praising Zoe for her wisdom and bravery. But as the days passed, strange things began to happen. The river, though full, brought with it a strange illness. People who drank from it fell sick, their skin turning ashen and their strength fading. The fields, though green, bore fruit that was twisted and bitter. The village was no better off than before, and in some ways, it was worse. Zoe was devastated. She had only wanted to help, but now her wish had brought more suffering. She went to her grandmother, tears in her eyes.
Nana, what have I done? How can I fix this?
Nana Oi took her granddaughter's hands in hers.
The calabash is a test, Zoe. It does not grant wishes freely. You must undo what has been done, but it will not be easy. You must go on a journey, face trials that will test your strength, courage, and wisdom. Only then can you break the curse and set things right.
Zoe nodded, determination replacing her despair. She knew what she had to do. She would face whatever challenges lay ahead, no matter how difficult, to save her village and undo the curse she had unleashed. Her journey began the next morning. Zoe packed a small bag with provisions, a knife for protection, and a calabash, which she wrapped carefully in cloth. As she left the village, her grandmother stood at the edge, watching with a mixture of pride and worry. Nana Oi called after her.
Remember, Zoe, you are stronger than you know. Trust in yourself, and you will find the way.
Zoe nodded, her heart filled with determination. She would do whatever it took to break the curse and save her people. And so, with the calabash in her bag and her grandmother's words in her heart, Zoe set off on her journey. The first trial came sooner than she expected. As she walked through the dense forest that bordered the village, she came upon a deep chasm that cut across her path. The air was thick with mist, and the other side of the chasm was barely visible. Zoe knew she had to cross it, but there was no bridge, no easy way across. She looked around for another path but found none. The chasm seemed to go on forever, stretching into the distance in both directions. Taking a deep breath, Zoe gathered her courage. Steeling herself, she backed up a few paces, then ran toward the edge of the chasm. As she reached the brink, she leaped into the air, her heart pounding in her chest. For a moment, it felt like she was suspended in midair, the world silent around her. Then, with a thud, she landed on the other side, her feet slipping slightly on the loose dirt but holding steady. Zoe let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. She had made it. The first trial was behind her, but she knew there were more to come. As she continued on her journey, the forest grew darker and more foreboding. The trees were tall and twisted, their branches reaching out like gnarled hands. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves. Zoe pressed on, her senses alert. She knew the forest held dangers, both natural and supernatural. But she also knew she had to keep going, no matter what. The next trial came in the form of a massive boulder that blocked her path. The boulder was so large that there was no way around it, and it was too high to climb over. Zoe's heart sank. How was she supposed to move something so enormous? But she refused to give up. Setting her bag aside, she approached the boulder and pressed her hands against it. The stone was cold and rough beneath her palms, unyielding. She pushed with all her might, her muscles straining, but the boulder didn't budge. Frustrated, Zoe stepped back, panting. She had always prided herself on her strength, but this was beyond anything she had faced before. For a moment, she considered turning back, but then she remembered her grandmother's words. "You are stronger than you know, Zoe." Taking a deep breath, Zoe tried again. This time, she didn't just use her physical strength, she focused her mind, channeling all her determination and willpower into the task. She pushed, not just with her body but with her spirit, and slowly, inch by inch, the boulder began to move. It was grueling work, but Zoe didn't stop until she had cleared a path wide enough for her to pass through. Exhausted but triumphant, she retrieved her bag and continued on her way. As she walked, she felt a sense of accomplishment. She had faced 2 trials and overcome them, but she knew the hardest was yet to come. The final trial would test not just her strength and courage but her wisdom as well. The forest eventually gave way to a serene, glowing cavern deep within the earth. The walls were lined with bioluminescent fungi, casting a soft, blue-green light over everything. In the center of the cavern was a pool of perfectly still water, its surface reflecting the glowing fungi and the image of Zoe herself. Zai approached the pool cautiously, her heart beating in her chest. She could see her reflection clearly, but as she drew closer, the reflection began to change. It was still her, but there was something different, something otherworldly about it. The reflection smiled at her, a knowing, almost teasing smile.
So, you've made it this far.
It said, its voice echoing softly in the cavern. Zai was startled. She hadn't expected her reflection to speak.
Who are you? I am you, or rather, I am the part of you that you've yet to discover. The part that holds the answers you seek.
Zai frowned.
What answers? The answers to the curse, to the calabash, to everything you've faced so far. But I won't simply give them to you. You must earn them by understanding yourself, by confronting your fears and doubts.
Zai stared at her reflection, her mind racing. She had faced physical challenges before, but this was something entirely different. How was she supposed to confront herself? Taking a deep breath, Zai decided to speak from her heart. She told her reflection about her fears, her doubts, her guilt. About unleashing the curse on her village. She spoke of her desire to help her people, but also of the fear that she was not strong or wise enough to fix the mistakes she had made. As she spoke, her reflection listened quietly, its expression softening. When Zai finally fell silent, the reflection nodded slowly.
You are beginning to understand. The true challenge is not the calabash or the trials you faced, but the journey within yourself. You must accept your mistakes, forgive yourself, and trust in your ability to make things right. Only then can you break the curse.
Zai felt a wave of emotions wash over her, relief, understanding, and a renewed sense of purpose. She realized that the reflection was right. She had been so focused on the external challenges that she had forgotten to look within. Taking a deep breath, Zai closed her eyes and allowed herself to feel everything she had been holding back, the fear, the guilt, the doubt. But instead of letting these emotions overwhelm her, she acknowledged them and then let them go. She forgave herself for the mistakes she had made, understanding that she had acted out of a desire to help, even if the outcome had been disastrous. When she opened her eyes, the reflection had changed. It no longer looked otherworldly but instead appeared as a true reflection of herself, strong, determined, and at peace. The reflection smiled gently and said,
You have passed the final trial. You are ready to face the calabash and undo the curse.
With a newfound sense of clarity, Zai stepped forward and dipped her hand into the pool. The water was cool and refreshing, and as she withdrew her hand, she found a small, glowing stone resting in her palm.
This stone will guide you, use it wisely.
Zai nodded and thanked her reflection. She felt a deep connection to this place, as if she had discovered a part of herself that she had long forgotten. With the glowing stone in hand, she left the cavern, ready to face whatever lay ahead. As she made her way back to the village, Zai noticed that the forest no longer felt dark and foreboding. The trees, once twisted and gnarled, now seemed to stand tall and proud, their leaves rustling gently in the breeze. The path was clear, and Zai felt a sense of calm as she walked. When she finally reached the village, she was greeted with worried faces. The villagers had seen the changes brought by the curse, the illness, the twisted fruit, and were desperate for a solution. They looked to Zai, their hope resting on her shoulders. Zai didn't hesitate. She went straight to her grandmother's hut, where Nana Oi was waiting. The elder woman's eyes were filled with both pride and concern as she saw the glowing stone in Zoe's hand.
You found the key, now, it's time to use it.
Together, they went to the village square, where the calabash had been placed on a stone altar. The villagers gathered around, watching in tense silence as Zoe approached the cursed object. Taking a deep breath, Zoe placed the glowing stone on top of the calabash. The moment the stone touched it, the carvings on the calabash began to glow, and a soft, melodic hum filled the air. Zoe closed her eyes and whispered a prayer, asking for the strength to undo the harm she had caused and to restore balance to the village. As she spoke, the hum grew louder, resonating deep within her soul. Then, with a flash of light, the calabash cracked open, releasing a burst of energy that swept through the village. The sick were healed, the twisted fruit returned to normal, and the river's waters became clear and pure once more. When Zoe opened her eyes, the calabash lay in pieces before her, its power finally broken. The villagers cheered, their voices filled with gratitude and relief. But Zoe knew that this was only the beginning. The lessons she had learned on her journey, the importance of self-awareness, forgiveness, and inner strength would guide her for the rest of her life. Nana Oi came forward and embraced her granddaughter. She spoke, her voice filled with pride.
You have done well, Zoe. You have proven that you are not only strong and brave but also wise. The village is safe because of you.
Zoe smiled, feeling a deep sense of peace and fulfillment. She had faced the challenges, both external and internal, and had emerged stronger for it. She knew that the road ahead would not always be easy, but she was ready to face whatever came her way. As the villagers celebrated around her, Zoe looked up at the sky, where the sun was beginning to set, casting a golden glow over the village. She knew that her journey was far from over, but she was no longer afraid. With the support of her grandmother and the strength she had found within herself, Zoe was ready to embrace whatever the future held.
Hello everybody, welcome to Stories by Bee. Here you'll find captivating fictional tales brought to life with great care and creativity. Each story is crafted with love and effort, designed to whisk you away to different worlds and adventures. So sit back, relax, and let your imagination soar as we dive into another amazing story. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and enjoy the journey. Thank you. Bye-bye.